So, right now, I think everyone has pretty much noticed, if you're um, not just completely head in the clouds, that there's a lot of tension between white people and black Americans right now. Obviously because of the election and looking at the outrageous racism that splurs out of Donald Trump's mouth, and then looking at also the racist white supremacist ways of Hillary Clinton. And so it's almost impossible not to, if you're talking about politics, not to talk about, the race issue. And I think it's easy right now to lose friends. And they won't, I don't think, like most of them won't say, oh, okay, well, I'm not going to talk to you anymore because I can't really deal with racism, or I don't have anything to say, or I don't know what to say. And they feel like we have some expectation of what they should say, and there's this right or wrong answer. And so you just end up like not hearing from some, or um, hearing from them a lot less, and they always seem to wiggle out of making any comments or talking about any issues in regarding race. And it's upsetting to me, because when a white person wants to talk about the Holocaust, I mean, I can engage. I'll talk about it. It's whatever. Um, but when you want to talk to them about slavery, or which is not something that I even talk about a lot. I don't think black people really sit there and decide that they want to bring up slavery every 10 seconds like white people try to act like. We probably talk about it less than white people, because we're not the ones out there making 2 or 3 slavery movies every year, shoving it down black people's throats just so we can then go and say, oh, you guys are just really playing the race card or dwelling off slavery. I think as black people right now, we don't need to talk about slavery. We can talk about the white supremacist terrorism that's going on right now, and I think that's what we need to focus on, is what's going on right now. And with this election being so insane and so crazy, and I don't even know what to think about what's going to happen come next month. But I can't, like, honestly, my brain can't even think about what the outcome is going to be, because it's just nasty all the way around. But we need to start thinking about what our next step is going to be, and we really need to look at this as an opportunity first to not vote. And I will continue to encourage black Americans to not vote in this election, because I feel like it will be more harmful to us than good. And I think this is a good opportunity to us to bring some attention to the Democratic Party, that we're no longer going to just support them or hand them our vote. We need to look at this and realize that we're in a turning point, that something has to change right now. Like, something's going to change. Either we're going to go backwards or we're going to go forwards, and only we can decide which way we're going to go. So we can sit there and say we're going to pray and let this, put it in God's hands, and that's not it's not going to work. It hasn't been working. We really need to come together and think of an actual plan that's in reality. And I'm not trying to diss other people's faith. You can have whatever faith you want to, but you need to be able to step back and look at things critically and realize that we are at a time where we have to come together and do something different. And my goal is to shine a light on this white supremacist terrorism, because white people don't want to talk about it. They don't want to acknowledge it. If you lose white friends because of it, then oh well, they weren't your friends in the first place, and it sucks. And like, I'm not as close to my white friends as I used to be, and I kind of see things in a different eye, because when you ignore race, it, then things can work out and they're fine. But when you're at a point in life that you really can't ignore race because it's such a huge issue that's being shoved at us. We're not the ones that are making a big issue out of it. White supremacy has made a big issue out of it. White supremacist terrorism has made a big issue out of it. And it's like when you go on a baseball field and just kick up the dirt, It was already laying there. It was already there. It's just being kicked up. And right now it's kicked in our faces. And we need to deal with it. And we need to figure out a way to deal with it. It's up in the air. Let's not push it back down and spread it over and make it look pretty again, because it's not pretty. And for me, I don't want the next generation to have to deal with it. If we don't address it, then they will have to deal with it. So address it. Talk to your white friends about it. Talk to your white family members about it. Because a lot of us have white people in our family, so we can't just dismiss their existence, because they're there. They exist. And so I think this is a good time to have open dialogues and open conversations with them about race, regardless of whether they want to, regardless of them trying to wiggle their ways out, whether they consider it white guilt or not. We need to just be stern with them and say, you know what, this is my life. This is me. This is what I'm dealing with. This is what my parents are dealing with, my sisters, my brothers, my children. So you need to deal with it. You need to look at it, and you need to figure out what your part in it is. And don't let them try to make you feel like you're guilting them into something, because they should feel guilty. If you're a white person and you do not feel guilty about the white supremacist terrorism that is inflicted on Black Americans on a daily basis, then there's something extremely wrong with you. So yes, you should feel guilty. I don't think that majority of white people do feel guilty. In fact, if I had to guess, I would say 99.9% of white people do not feel guilty. They just don't. They can, even when they're screaming white guilt, they don't care. They don't really feel white guilt. They feel offended that they are being forced to address it or think of it, but they don't feel guilty about it. So I don't want to say let's make them feel guilty, but they should feel guilty. I want them to feel guilty. Honestly, I do. I think every white person in America, even the ones in Europe, and they should feel guilty. Around the globe, white people should feel guilty, because there's white supremacist terrorism globally. And we're always talking about terrorism somewhere else, but we need to focus on the white supremacist terrorism that's here. And white people need to acknowledge it, and they need to help change it. So get out there, talk to your white people, to your white friends or family members, and just see how many of them kind of back away from you. And when they do that, that'll tell you who your white supremacist friends are. And it will be majority of them, I assure you. Thank you.